So, we're going to talk about dating. So, how does this put women at a disadvantage when we're dating, right? And in that Psychology Today article, Catherine Lively talks about setting boundaries, right? So she talks about why it's good to say no. Why do we want to say no? And saying no sets boundaries, which increases your options because you'll be more likely to take a chance because then you'll be able to get rid of that person if it doesn't work out. And you won't waste your time on the wrong person. And you also come across as more confident when you can say no and you can set boundaries.
Yeah, I think this whole say no, similar to what we are talking about with work, right? Whenever you don't overfill your schedule with tasks and, risk getting burnt out and being exhausted at work, the same thing goes with dating. When you have boundaries and you know what you're looking for, and you know your skills and you know what you're capable of, and in dating, you know what you're looking for, you know what you bring. I hate using the term bring to the table, but yeah, I know what I mean. Whenever you are intentionally going for somebody that you want in your life, saying no to what you don't want is crucial for you to find what you want, right? And I think that's kind of what this is touching on. The more you say no, the to things that don't resonate, because I don't think it's just about saying no to say no, but the more you say no to the things that don't resonate with who you are, the more you open up space to receive the things that you do want. And I just think that if women saw the word no in that perspective, it could help a lot of us feel more comfortable with saying no without explanation, because no is a full sentence. And that's also something that I feel could be a topic on its own. But sometimes we feel like we not only we can't say no, but we need to explain the reasoning for why we say no. Saying no without an explanation is also valid. So yeah, I think context matters, scenarios matter, but essentially, it's not about ghosting. It's just about being able to say no. I'm not interested. No, let me get back to you. That is okay, right? And setting those boundaries early on is important, so you can protect yourself, your energy, your time, because all of that is very valuable.
Yeah. I also think it's such a precarious topic when we're talking about dating women and men and the word no. And that can be, you know what I mean? Like it's a powerful thing to be able to say no and be okay with it. So I also just want to kind of slide that in there. So how do we say no more? How can we be more disagreeable and it's okay, right? Um, so to talk about Catherine O'Brien, that third study where she talks about two interventions, right? Designed to increase one's ability to strategically say no. It's actually really cool. I was like, this is like the coolest thing ever. So there were two different things that she found effective. So we can put these to good use. So there's a time delay. So one is being able to, so like when women are given more time to think about a request, and we're talking about in the workplace, but again, maybe we can practice this in other scenarios as well. When we're given more time to think carefully about a request, we can actually say no. Women will say no if they're given time, right? So if my boss comes to me and they say, "Hey, can you pick up an extra shift this week or can you sub this week or whatever, um, get back to me or next week or whatever. Can you get back to me in a couple days? Can you get back to me in, a week or whatever?" Or they give me more time rather than on the spot, then women actually are more likely to say no because they actually have time to process, like, is this good for me? Is this going to better my career? Am I going to, burn myself out? Like whatever the case is. And then the second one is something that she refers to as WSMBFD condition. So she applied this condition in her study, which is what I forgot, it's something like, what would my best friend do? Like, what would my best friend do? And so she asked women essentially, it's a little bit complex. I'm probably going to butcher it, but this, what would my best friend do? She asked women like to a professional request, right? So essentially, it would be, can you pick up more shifts, whatever? And the woman would have to think, okay, what would my best friend do? And when they're thinking about their best friend, they actually, like, what they would do, they would say no. So when you're thinking about someone else and like probably protecting their energy, their expense, and things like this, you would more likely say no. And I thought that was like the coolest thing, because that's a really cool way to think about it, right? So instead of thinking just about yourself, you would think about how your friend or your best friend, someone you really care about, how they would um, be affected if they were to pick up additional professional requests. The last article I'm going to reference is it's titled, If You Have Trouble Saying No, Say This Instead. And it's by Megan Bruneau, who's a therapist. She wrote this article in 2016. And she essentially says that uh, there's one thing that you can say, especially whenever it comes to, I mean, the professional workplace, but she just talks about in general. She just says, say, let me think about it. That's it. Which is kind of along the lines of the time, right? So it's just like, give me a little bit more time. And when you do that, you're able to say no. And that also can be just I feel like that can be a good transition, at least for me. Whenever I was reading this, I was like, that's going to be my, not trajectory, but kind of like how Driz has started to edit and be more intentional with her words and her language usage at work. Like, that can be mine, right? Where it's like, let me think about it.
Yeah, no, I think that the time component is very interesting, and it'd be good to kind of like dive into it a little bit more. And yeah, that phrase is very, the let me think about it is gold. It's just a standard when you are not sure. And I have a rule, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no for me. Like if I don't feel it, I'm not gonna force myself to do anything. And sometimes, like you say, you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling, or you're just like, you're indecisive. You need some time. Let me think about it. When I say let me think about it or I'll get back to you, it's usually a no. It comes back as a no because I usually know when I want to do something. But I do
Mhm.
think it gives you the time to just reflect and see, like, does this resonate with me? Is this something I want to put energy and time into? So yeah, we encourage you guys to use let me think about it.
Yes.
And no.
And no, yes, let's start being a little bit more contentious when the time is right, right? Let's allow that to be a thing and allow it to be okay. All right. I think that's it. I think we touched on everything that we wanted to.
Yeah, I think this was a good episode. We hope you guys enjoyed talking to us about this top not talking to us, listening to us talk about this topic and our experience with saying no. And again, I know it's already work that a lot of people are doing out there. So we hope we brought you some insights. And yeah, let's keep practicing say no to things that don't resonate with us. Until next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.